The ongoing conflict between Iran and Israel has escalated dramatically in recent days, capturing the attention of governments and citizens alike around the world. While both countries have long been adversaries, this recent surge in violence marks a significant shift, moving from covert operations to all-out war. It all began on June 13th, when Israel launched a series of preemptive airstrikes, a military operation referred to as Operation Rising Lion. The strikes targeted key Iranian military and nuclear sites, including the Natanz and Isfahan facilities, which are vital to Iran's nuclear ambitions. Israel's aim was clear: to cripple Iran's nuclear capabilities and prevent any potential development of nuclear weapons that could be used in the region. These initial strikes were met with a massive response from Iran, which launched more than 150 ballistic missiles and over 100 drones aimed at Israeli cities and military installations. The Iranian missile barrage took Israel by surprise, overwhelming its renowned Iron Dome missile defense system.
The skies over Tel Aviv ablaze. Explosions heard and plumes of smoke visible after Iran fired hundreds of ballistic missiles towards Israel, retaliation for Israel's attack on Iran, which began the day before. Iranian television shows celebrations, while Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, warns of grave consequences.
The results were catastrophic. At least 14 Israelis were killed, hundreds were injured, and many buildings and infrastructure were heavily damaged. The cities of Tel Aviv and Haifa, which are home to vital military and industrial assets, were among the worst hit. The psychological impact on the Israeli population was equally severe, as residents were forced to seek shelter during the onslaught. Iran's retaliation, however, did not stop at missiles. In addition to the missile attacks, Iranian drones targeted fuel depots and critical infrastructure, resulting in large-scale fires and further economic disruption. The Iranian government, under Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, has remained firm in its position, calling for the complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from the region and demanding that the international community hold Israel accountable for its actions.
Life will become bitter for them, without doubt. They cannot think that they've hit us, and it's over. No, they started this, and now they've launched a war. We will not let them get away with this large-scale crime. The forces of the Islamic Republic will deliver huge blows to the Zionist regime. My dear people should know that we have no shortcomings in delivering an answer to this.
As the conflict rages on, the toll on civilians is becoming increasingly evident. In Iran, the damage from Israeli airstrikes on civilian infrastructure, including residential buildings, universities, and oil refineries, has left thousands homeless and caused widespread panic. Thousands of civilians have been forced to flee Tehran as Israeli bombings near the city's core have turned once thriving neighborhoods into rubble. The Iranian government has called on its people to stand united in the face of this foreign aggression, and there is growing public sentiment for retaliation against Israel, with some even calling for the removal of the Israeli government. The international community has been caught in a complex web of diplomacy.
In the past 24 hours, we've taken out top military commanders, senior nuclear scientists, the Islamic regime's most significant enrichment facility, and a large portion of its ballistic missile arsenal. More is on the way. The regime doesn't know what hit them. They don't know what will hit them. The nation of Iran and the nation of Israel have been true friends since the days of Cyrus the Great. And the time has come for you to unite around your flag and your historic legacy by standing up for your freedom from an evil and oppressive regime. It has never been weaker.
As leaders across the globe weigh in on the escalating situation. In the United States, President Donald Trump issued a warning to Iran, stating that any further aggression against American targets would result in a swift and overwhelming military response. The U.S. has consistently sided with Israel in the past, citing its right to defend itself against hostile neighbors. However, Trump also called for a de-escalation, suggesting that a diplomatic resolution could still be achieved if the parties involved agreed to peace talks. However, Iran has made it clear that it is not interested in talks under the current circumstances. The Iranian government has pointed to Israel's aggressive actions as a direct violation of international law and has vowed to continue defending its sovereignty. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has repeatedly emphasized that Iran will not back down until Israel halts its military operations and ceases the targeting of civilian areas. The situation is further complicated by the involvement of other regional players. In Jordan, Iraq, and Lebanon, governments have expressed growing concern over the potential for this conflict to spill over into neighboring countries. The rise in oil prices, due to attacks on Iranian refineries and shipping routes, has already begun to have a noticeable impact on global markets. Meanwhile, airspace over Iraq and Syria has been intermittently shut down as both countries are caught in the fallout from the conflict, with some fear that Iran may expand its missile strikes into these territories. The Israeli government, led by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, remains resolute in its actions, insisting that its military operations are necessary to protect Israeli citizens and prevent Iran from gaining nuclear weapons. Netanyahu's rhetoric has taken a more aggressive tone in recent days, as he urged the Iranian people to rise against their government, suggesting that the strikes could help foster regime change in Tehran.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons. Today, the Jewish state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear holocaust perpetrated by the Iranian regime. Now, as Prime Minister, I've made it clear time and again, Israel will never allow those who call for our annihilation to develop the means to achieve that goal. Tonight, Israel backs those words with action. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. We targeted Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz. We targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck at the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program.
This has raised concerns that Israel is not only targeting military facilities, but may also be attempting to weaken the Iranian government's hold on power, a strategy that could lead to further destabilization in the region. In short, the Iran-Israel conflict is at a critical juncture. Both nations have suffered significant losses, and the possibility of further escalation remains high. While Iran has made it clear that it will not stop its missile strikes unless Israel ceases its attacks, Israel continues to prioritize its defense and aims to weaken Iran's military capabilities. The international community remains deeply divided, with some nations supporting Israel's right to defend itself, while others condemn Israel's actions as violations of international law. As the violence continues, the world watches closely, hoping for a resolution that can prevent even greater destruction and loss of life in the Middle East.